Welcome to Brandstorm, the podcast that talks to the people behind America's brands. I'm Dan Trzynski, president of Platypus Advertising and Design.
And I'm Nancy Christopher, PR director at Platypus. In the mood for some pasta or a thick, juicy steak? Our guest today has come up with a new website that makes it absolutely, unbelievably easy to find a restaurant that's exactly what you're hankering for. It even has the right name.
Which would be?
Hankr. HANKR.com. And here to tell us about it is its founder, John Kuehl. Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me here today.
It's really great to have you. Now, what inspired you to create this website? I mean, I know everybody loves food, but I'm sure there was an inspiration behind it.
Right. I mean, I think like a lot of people, you create things initially to solve a problem that you have yourself. I was worried my marriage was going to crumble around disagreements about where we were going to go eat. And I say that half joking, but half
Strong
serious.
Relationship.
Right.
It is a hard decision to make.
Yeah.
Get two people to agree on one thing.
Oh, we had moments when my wife was pregnant where it was I thought it was going down.
Look at what like lunch decisions are like around here.
Oh, I know. Get tired of the same places.
Yeah, right. So, and my problem, like for real, was, you might call me a foodie. I just like to say I'm kind of more of a discerning diner. If I'm going to go spend money at a restaurant, I want it to be worth it.
Exactly. I don't blame you.
The problem of like for me was, well, I can't see the food. I can look at lists of places all day long, but I kind of have to drill in and work really hard to get a glimpse of, well, what does the menu actually look like? And that's that justification that I'm looking for.
Okay.
If I'm going to try somewhere new. So that was the aha moment. Like, I don't have the information I need.
And sometimes when somebody else does the pictures, they make it look like what it isn't.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think my perception was that there were two ends of the spectrum. There was McDonald's,
Right.
high-end fake food or, a fake portrayal of what you might actually get. Or there was what you would see on something like Yelp, which was low light, dark, half-eaten,
bad,
gross.
Yeah, right.
So there had to be a happy medium there of something that was true to life,
Right.
but also looked appetizing. The internet has made it possible for us to search any product anywhere from any maker without having to know who sells it first. But restaurant food has been left out of that. You search for tacos, you see places that serve tacos. I want to see the tacos. And so that has not been possible. And that is what Hankr is doing to solve that problem is we're making search food first and visual.
Should I be searching in images on Google for food in a specific place? And would you show up higher then, or would that get me to Hankr if I didn't know Hankr existed?
What we're trying to be there is if you're searching Google for, something food specific,
right,
that we would be the place that has that result. Tacos in Milwaukee we've got a page for that, and there are 75 tacos there, actual dishes that you could go get. Our content is indexed and it may appear in Google Images, but I think that's the idea is that you can search in that way.
So kind of walk us through exactly what this website will do for you.
Right. In addition to making the search food first and visual, we've tried to apply, I guess, a different way of thinking about the articulation of the mood that you're in. So when someone says, I don't know what I'm in the mood for, it's because that animal brain that's trying to that has that craving isn't connected to the language I have. Like I can't articulate that thing. But if I say like, you'd feel like something comforting and you can kind of think about what that means to you. Oh, something warm, something saucy, something buttery,
spicy,
deep fried maybe. Yeah. So, or if I say I want Mexican food, I think what I'm saying is like, I want something that's like fresh and crisp and maybe there's meat that's tender. So we're trying to give you words like that to get you unstuck when you're stuck. So yeah, you can look at pizza or you can look at things that are spicy and find different ways of getting in. And again, it's all about, well, then here's food that matches that. I'm gluten-free and I want something that's fresh and healthy. Well, show me what meets that criteria.
So when I travel, not to bring up a competitor or a competitive site, but I use Yelp a lot. Restaurants near me going down that path. What makes you different from a Yelp platform, which is kind of the global accepted thing to look for food?
Yeah, well, that's a big question to ask me. I think there are three main ways. First and foremost, Yelp is kind of about everything. Local businesses, including restaurants, and we're restaurants food only.
Right.
But we are food first. So you can find restaurants on Hankr, but we want you to go, we think it's better to go
find
through
the
food.
Right.
And then discover the places that have it. But, review culture, it's something that I struggle with personally. And we're trying to get away from read what someone else had to say about an experience to if we can give you a visual representation of something that you might buy and you can believe that it's reasonably true to life, does that look good to you? And if that looks good to you, go try it. And we think it's going to work out versus, reading those best and worst case experiences that more, I think, give you a fear
Sure,
at times
sure.
of trying somewhere new.
Yeah, and when I look at reviews, you tend to throw out the top and the bottom and agree that somewhere in the middle is going to be the truth, because you'll see the 5 stars and then the 1 stars. And
I have the parking lot review. I drive by someplace and if nobody's in the parking lot, bye.
you don't go either.
That's right.
Just the other night I was out with my wife for her birthday. We went to a place in Madison we've never been to before, a nice steakhouse. And as we walked to the front door, she said, "Gosh, I hope our meal's not cold." And I just looked at her, I was like, "Well, why did you say that?" Well, I was looking at Yelp on the way here and just, you see those comments from people, and all it did was give me the fear inside that like we're going to be the one.
Yeah.
Every restaurant has a bad night or a bad customer
Sure.
or whatever, and you can't get away from that, but it took my excitement from like a 10 for that night out to like a 5, and I don't,
So
I
there's
don't need
no
that.
there's no reviews on Hankr?
They're not.
They're not.
How many markets are you in? And how do you go about selecting the restaurants that will be on your website?
Yeah, so we think about being in a market in an evolving way right now. We want Hankr to be a reasonable resource, a quality resource where if you go look there, you're going to see a lot of different kinds of food. And even if you don't go to one of the restaurants on there, it will help you make that decision about, oh yeah, I am in the mood for Italian tonight.
Right.
It's going to remain to be seen, like, well, how many restaurants do we have to have, like, as a percentage, let's say, in a particular city before we're at that useful volume? I would say we have a significant presence in 4 cities right now in Wisconsin. That's Madison, Milwaukee, Cedarburg, and Minocqua, Wisconsin. And then we have on our way presence in about a dozen others. That includes Denver, Richmond, Virginia, New Brunswick, New Jersey, so some college towns as well. But we're still getting to that real meaningful presence in a bunch of places.
How do you go about picking a city? I mean, you're all over the state of Wisconsin, and then all of a sudden Denver.
Yeah, I just had everybody
Richmond.
listening, scratching their head.
Do you know people who live there?
Well, so this gets into how we've structured our business as a startup. I want to be everywhere there's a good selection of food one day. As you may imagine, it's hard to build a consumer brand from scratch where there's a significant investment in content and assets going in like that. So we've chosen to pursue an opportunity as a content platform that actually helps other businesses provide a better experience for their customers. So people look for food in lots of ways, in lots of places: delivery, reservations, traveling, so tourism organizations,
Sure.
even at the game. So we partner with athletics organizations to help people find food. So we've grown. The reason we're in Richmond and New Brunswick and Ann Arbor, Michigan, is through a partnership with Eat Street, which is a food delivery startup in Madison. And they're a delivery company. They're not a content company, but they want to provide this visual experience for their users. So we are that content team that goes into that city, and then they just use our platform, our API.
The photography that you have on this website, it's just beautiful. And that's an investment in and of itself. So how do you find the revenue for this website? Do you have a subscription service from the restaurateurs, or how exactly do you keep things going?
Yeah, that's first of all, thanks for the compliment on the photography, and we are
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's what drew me to you to begin with, and it's very consistent from different places. I started looking at it, and I was like, wow, one, they know what they're doing, and 2, it's consistent across. So how does that work?
Yeah, well, that's definitely the vision we had, is like we want this experience to be quality and consistent and true to life, as I've said now about 100 times. So sometimes that requires one of our photographers to go out to the restaurant because the restaurant doesn't have this photography. And in that case, we work with freelancers everywhere we need to be, and we train them on that style and on that expectation. And we work with the restaurants so they understand, just make this like you make it every day. We're going to take a beautiful picture of it using natural light, focusing on the food, not like the scene. So we train people to shoot our style. Someone does have to pay for that. Sometimes it's us. As we're getting to start in a market, we go to restaurants that we think would be great to be showcased there, and we foot the bill. In other cases, it's our partner, like Eat Street, or the restaurant itself, if they want to own those photos to use them in other places. So it varies now. I can demystify that a little bit if we have time, but yes, it varies where we get that revenue.
I would think if I was a restaurant owner, I would want to be on Hankr.com, because it's just another way for people to see, to make a decision for dinner, lunch, breakfast, what have you.
Yeah. Restaurants are interesting. And I would think they would want to be on Hankr.com. And sometimes they surprise you.
So what are the challenges?
Yeah, well, the challenges are, if you ask most restaurant owners, what they want it to be like is, my food is just so good that I just flip the sign to open and
Right.
people show up every
People
day.
show up.
And that's how they want it to be. And so that's the default. They only pay attention to things that they feel like they have to pay attention to beyond that. So, a lot of them, they look at Yelp because they have to. They
Right.
have to be responsive to reviews, even though they universally
All
dislike
can't
it.
stand
Yeah.
it. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a guy in New York that tries to get as many bad Yelp reviews as possible.
Oh,
I mean,
that's actually an amazing
yeah,
strategy.
it was a great story. It's like he's like so anti-Yelp, and it's this 5-star restaurant, and it's just horrible reviews.
But if you're 5-star, how
Yelp.
can you have that many bad reviews?
Because that's like all he allows. He convinces his customers to trash the place, so
That's
then
interesting.
that they can always get a table.
Kind of a scary tactic.
Yeah. I mean, so we, at this point, some restaurants just believe in what we're doing. Oh, yeah, I believe in my food. I think if people see my food, they're going to want to come eat it. So we certainly have those early adopters. Other restaurants, especially candidly, if they're more successful, busy, just trying to keep up, just trying to make sure they keep up with demand, it's kind of another thing that they have to deal with. I mean, we make it so easy. We come in, it's an hour, we're out, and we do all the work on tagging everything. They don't have to do anything, but we're new. And restaurants have seen lots of new things come through. So it certainly helps when we work with our other partners who already have a relationship
Right.
with those restaurants.
So getting into that, like destination marketing organizations, we
Mhm.
have a lot of that, people like that listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
So how would you work with a city or if somebody wanted to get their whole city, town destination on Hankr?
Well, so I used to work for travelwisconsin.com,
Okay.
and I was a director there. So I saw firsthand trying to get good restaurant content was very difficult. And we pushed that responsibility down from a state to a city. And then they had to try to deal with the restaurants to try to get photos. And it was cumbersome. And the result is a bunch of information that nobody would really actually use to figure out where to eat. So part of the idea for working with DMOs came from that experience. And it can be as simple as, we would love this for our community. Here's a list of restaurants. Please make it happen. And we contact the restaurants and we set up the photo shoots and we do all the data. We even build a website, all around this visual search experience if needed. And the DMO itself, because I know they're lean, trying
Sure.
to do a lot, they just don't have to do
They
anything.
don't, yeah, and they don't have the resources to be able
Right.
to pull that off. Quite candidly, again, another tip of the hat to your photography. Food photography is hard. Cheese doesn't, look good, and when it's
Yeah.
melted and stuff like that, or it doesn't look good for very long. And there's tricks
Yeah.
to making that happen.
Yep. Right. And so, they don't have the resources to do that.
Right.
And the restaurants don't either. And
So is that how you go into a market? Do you go to the DMO? And how does that work?
yeah, it is at this stage of our growth, a very much direct sales conversation. And I'm reaching out to destinations that, they all know that eating is a huge part of the
Part of an
vacation
experience,
experience.
right.
And what they've also seen is that they're losing attention and traffic to Google, who's like scooping up people as they look for information on destinations. So these destinations need more unique content that Google doesn't have. So if they care about food, they're losing web traffic. We help them solve those two problems. They can be a resource for visitors unlike any other. And at this stage, we've worked best with smaller destinations that truly don't have like the staff of people like content experts and content strategists like bigger cities will, like Milwaukee or Indianapolis or Austin, Texas. So we've started at a smaller level and we've seen great results, and it's been easy for them. And so far, so good on that respect.
Is there a fee or a cost sharing program that either the restaurants or the DMO or whatever has to share to make this happen for them?
It can be that way. There's a price that we have, and if the destination wants to co-op it with the restaurant, they can, or they can cover it. And it's kind of up to them how they work with their individual partners or members.
I think too, hoteliers, big hotel chains, this would be a great service to offer to people as well. I always come into a city and ask the concierge, where's a great place to eat? It's a nice tool to have.
Yeah, and it's for them just kind of in their back pocket to help their concierge be more of an expert. And certainly like athletics venues, we've been working and talking with resorts or places where, hey, you're here for the water park and we have 6 restaurants on property and we'd love you to eat at one of them instead of going into town or something. So can we show you what we offer in a food first way? And maybe that's on a touch screen in the lobby. So to me, those things are so exciting because what I want is for you to have the perfect meal. That is what I want. And that's a win for me. So we're exploring all those ideas.
The only thing that might be better than figuring out where you want to go, going to that restaurant, is actually having that restaurant deliver it to you. Are you planning anything like that?
No delivery services, of our own, but certainly our partnership with Eat Street has been amazing, I think, for both of us.
Well, you're just hearing Grubhub. All these things are wildly popular, especially amongst the younger generations.
Yeah, we see Hankr existing in that early stage of a discussion, like, well, what am I in the mood to eat? What should I get? And think of us more as like an aggregator in that sense, where we're like, okay, well, you found this is the thing. And did you know you could get that delivered? You can get a reservation from that restaurant if you want, or here's how to get there. We can send people, we'll help you get it. But I'm not ready to say right now, like, we're this content company, experience company, visual search, solving that. And delivery is, that's what Eat Street does, and they're really good at it. And
what's your vision for marketing Hankr? It's got a great name. What's the next step to take it to that next level?
Well, I'm like the restaurant owner where I just want people to just kind of show up, because we do awesome stuff. We've done early on like advertising. We have this many restaurants. Let's try to advertise. And as you guys know, there's a way to do that well and have it really work. And that costs a certain amount of money. And early on, that's more than we can handle. We are looking for people to love it so much that
they'll share it.
They share it. That I got to tell you, that's my strategy. But I do have vision of people saying like, where should we eat tonight? And well, why don't you just Hankr it? That will take money to get to that level of consciousness down the road at one stage. So we'll see when we get to that point where we feel like we have to, build the brand in that way. But right now it's guerrilla style. It's stickers on windows. It's
at the restaurants that that are on it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. It's handing out cards to concierge, hotel staff, so they remember when someone asks like, "Oh, Madison has this great thing," to help you figure out where to eat.
So did you ever think about getting into the menu business, seeing you've got all this great photography? We've worked with a lot of restaurants in the past here at Platypus, and that's always another struggle is, okay, menus are always changing, prices are changing, but if you have all these assets, it wouldn't be a big leap to be able to help people design menus.
That's certainly on our mind.
Okay.
And solving that pain point of I have to change my menu in 5 places. There's companies that exist in that space a little bit.
There are.
But yeah, I think that's, if we can help them manage it in one place.
Offshoot. It's not webby, but it's a terrestrial way of monetizing the content that you're already grabbing.
Yep. Yeah. And it's interesting too, because some restaurants will tell you it's like, if you're a quality restaurant, you are not putting pictures on your menu, and we would not do that. And some of them know, like, hey, if I put a picture on there, like, I'll sell more of that thing. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
We worked with a chain that shall remain nameless, but the owner of the chain lovingly called it, "We want the point and grunt," where they would point at the picture on the menu and go,
Yeah, you just,
I want that. And it's sold. If it looked good on there, that's what we get. That's why I think you're onto something here with seeing the food, and seeing good food makes you hungry.
Yeah. Well, a big reason why, in addition to, my personal problem of figuring out where to eat, I got into this is the idea of owning a restaurant is very romantic to me, but I know I will never do it. I know what goes into that lifestyle. But the idea of helping the people who have made that commitment be more successful and even thrive, that's very motivating to me. And so, yeah, if I can start in one way and solve one problem and then get into more and, I can make this easier for you too. I would love that. If you can flash forward 10 years and if we're doing lots of things that just help restaurants run better and be more successful, that would be amazing.
Well, I think it's a great idea, John, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. What
is the best way for people to get in touch with you if they want to be a part of your website?
I like to hear from people directly. So they can email me at John, John, at Hankr.com, Hankr.com. Or certainly if they just go to our website and check it out, then there's a big green button on there if they're a restaurant owner that says add my restaurant. And really we'll take a restaurant from anywhere at this stage. So
it doesn't have to be in any one of those specific markets?
No. Yeah, if you're in...
And can they just send you photography and be a part of it? Or do they have to be specifically within your specifications?
They can send us photography if they, under oath, say it is true to life. And if it meets a certain pixel dimension, we'll take it. We used to think that we had to take all the photos, but some restaurants have good stuff and it does the job and it's real. And that's what we care about the most. I think trust for me, without reviews per se, over time, helping people feel like they can trust this stuff is what we really want.
Well, the name of the website is Hankr.com. That's Hankr.com. And boy, it'll have everything on it you're hankering for. It's really great photography. I know you're going to like it. And to our listeners, if you like what you've heard, don't forget to share, review, and subscribe to Brandstorm.
This is Dan Trzynski along with Nancy Christopher at Platypus Advertising and Design, an awesome company that creates perceptions that influence choice for a variety of regional, national, and even global brands on a daily basis. We hope you'll join us next week for another episode of Brandstorm.